Have you ever wondered if an ancient cloth could hold clues to one of the greatest mysteries in human history? The Shroud of Turin, a centuries-old linen cloth bearing the faint image of a crucified man, has fascinated believers, scientists, and skeptics for generations. Is it the genuine burial cloth of Jesus Christ? Or is it a masterful medieval forgery? In this video, we explore the fascinating history, intense scientific analysis, and the ongoing mystery that keeps the world talking about the Shroud of Turin. Let's take a journey through time and uncover the layers of fact, faith, and fascination behind this legendary artifact. Our story begins with the earliest known references to the Shroud. While legends of miraculous images existed for centuries, the Shroud of Turin makes its first recorded appearance in the 14th century in Lirey, France. It was displayed in a small church, and almost immediately, it drew attention and controversy. Some claimed the shroud had been kept secretly by the Knights Templar or hidden during the Crusades. Others believed it was created by divine means. But one thing was clear: people saw in it the image of a man who had suffered, a man who appeared to have been crucified. From its first public display, church officials and scholars debated its authenticity. Was this really the burial cloth of Jesus, as some believed? Or was it a clever medieval hoax? While some saw it as a sacred relic, others called for proof. The shroud was examined, questioned, and yet its mystery only deepened. After its time in France, the shroud eventually came into the possession of the House of Savoy, an Italian royal family. It was moved to Turin, Italy, in 1578, where it has remained. Over the centuries, it survived fires, wars, and relocation. It was damaged in a chapel fire in 1532, but repairs were made by Poor Clare nuns who stitched patches over the burnt areas, another layer added to its complicated history. The shroud has been publicly displayed only a few times per century. Each display draws massive crowds. For many, it's a spiritual experience. For others, a historical curiosity. But for all, it remains an enigma. While faith and legend tell one story, science seeks evidence. In 1978, a group of scientists formed the Shroud of Turin Research Project, or STURP. Their goal was to uncover the truth using the latest scientific tools. In 1988, radiocarbon dating was performed on a small sample of the cloth. 3 independent labs concluded that the linen dated to between 1260 and 1390 AD medieval times. Many took this as proof that the shroud was a fake. But critics of the test pointed out problems. Was the sample taken from a repaired area? Had the cloth been contaminated over centuries of handling and exposure? Later studies suggested the tested area might not represent the original cloth. The debate reignited. One of the biggest mysteries is how the image got on the cloth. The image is not painted, drawn, or burned into the fabric. Under microscopic analysis, it appears to be a surface discoloration affecting only the top fibers. No brush strokes. No pigment penetration. Even today, no one can definitively explain how the image formed. Some theories suggest natural chemical reactions. Others propose a burst of radiant energy, even radiation, could have created the image. The STURP team concluded that the image was not the result of any known artistic method. Ongoing studies continue to reveal surprising details. The bloodstains on the shroud test positive for human blood, type AB. Pollen grains found on the cloth trace its journey through regions like Jerusalem and Anatolia. 3D imaging reveals anatomical accuracy in the figure's wounds. Yet no one, not scientists, historians, or theologians, has been able to fully explain the image's origin. This keeps the shroud at the center of one of the world's most fascinating mysteries. The Shroud of Turin is more than a scientific puzzle. It has also left a lasting impression on culture, art, and religious thought. From Renaissance paintings to modern novels, the shroud has inspired artists and authors across the globe. Many depictions of Jesus in Western art bear a strong resemblance to the image on the shroud. Coincidence? Or influence? Writers, too, have used the shroud as a central theme in thrillers, historical fiction, and religious essays. Its mystery makes it a perfect symbol of faith, doubt, and the search for truth. For many Christians, especially within the Catholic Church, the shroud is a deeply spiritual object. Popes have referred to it as a mirror of the gospel. Though the Church has never officially declared the shroud as the true burial cloth of Jesus, it encourages respectful reflection on its message, a message of suffering, sacrifice, and resurrection. Believers see the image as a silent testimony to Christ's crucifixion. It reminds them of the passion, pain, and hope at the heart of their faith. Even for non-believers, the shroud poses compelling questions. How did the image form? Why has it survived so long? What can it teach us about history, art, and the power of symbols? These questions keep the shroud relevant in modern times. It's not just a piece of fabric. It's a story, a mystery that invites us to look deeper. With such a famous artifact comes many myths. Let's take a closer look at what's fact, what's fiction, and what's still unknown. Some believe the shroud was painted, but scientific analysis shows no trace of paint, ink, or dye forming the image. Others argue that the carbon dating proves it's a fake, but the test dated only one part of the cloth, possibly from a repaired section. The overall age of the cloth is still debated. A popular theory claims the image is a photographic negative created by early photography, but the shroud predates photography by centuries. While the image has a negative-like quality, it is not a photograph. Skeptics argue that the image could have been made by medieval forgers using unknown techniques. Others suggest it's a natural formation unrelated to Jesus. Yet none have recreated the shroud's exact features using medieval tools or methods. Some researchers claim it's a burial cloth from someone crucified in the 1st century, possibly Jesus, but not proven. It's important to ask questions, to weigh evidence, to consider all sides. The Shroud of Turin is an invitation to explore, not to blindly believe, but to examine, wonder, and reflect. Whether you see it as a relic of faith, a medieval mystery, or an artistic marvel, the shroud encourages us to look beyond the surface. Today, the Shroud of Turin is stored in a climate-controlled case in the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist in Turin, Italy. It's rarely displayed, yet it continues to attract millions of pilgrims and researchers. In the age of science and technology, one might think such relics would lose their significance. But the opposite is true. The more we analyze, the more questions arise. The shroud continues to spark global interest. Documentaries, books, and new studies emerge regularly. It brings together believers and skeptics, artists and scientists, historians and theologians. Maybe that's the true power of the shroud, not just in what it is, but in what it represents. A reminder that some mysteries are meant not only to be solved, but to be explored. The Shroud of Turin, a cloth, an icon, a question mark, and a story still unfolding.